there, Dennis. Thank you so much for meeting with me today with the Jazz Institute of Chicago. We are so excited for you to be performing on Saturday, August 31st at 4:15 at the J. Pritzker Pavilion. How are you today?
Good.
Well, we have a few questions for you because we are wanting to know more about you as a performer and also just the inspiration behind your work. I remember reading that your late father inspired you, your path towards music. How old were you and what was that like?
Well, he was a charismatic figure in general and a wonderful teacher. He had all the gifts that a good teacher has. Um, he was able to read humans well, and he always brought that to bear, certain patience, and knew when to push and prod in the right moment. So I think with me, once he saw I was interested, he knew just how to back off and see if it was a kind of a truth or not, if I would follow up on my own and the level of commitment and passion. I would say that was the biggest lesson I got.
Yeah. And did you start out, like, what kind of instruments did you start out with?
French horn, but then that
Mm.
wasn't the passion. It was when I started on the bass that things got real.
Hmm. How old were you when you started on the bass?
About 17.
When you were old enough to and big enough to hold it up?
Well, it was electric first, and
Hmm.
then I started jamming on that. And then I got intrigued by, I went to a very small, it is a very small town I'm from. It's like population 500 in the middle of cornfields, a farming community. So to have the art and culture in my home was made me very much a kind of an outlier. But
Hmm.
I never felt that way because I had all that because I had all the art and culture there with the great records and that, and my dad and even my friends loved it. That was super super cool that I had that. And then so and I had nature around me, which was a big influence to have open spaces. And I think really, do you mind if I say this?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, I think what I think is interesting is I think, at my age, I'm 63. I, kind of went past that interesting place in history where you've literally seen the leap now into full on technology, right? Mode where
Hmm.
no human can imagine themselves without being, constantly, gridded out on it. Uh, and now we wonder how we can get off, how we can stop that hamster cage wheel and just slow it down, But in my, it just felt like now I look back, I said I had a childhood in that time that you could kind of go off and listen to the music. I'd go off and do a grove of trees, read a book, and you had time to ruminate and think and reflect in a way that I think I'm even missing now. And
Yeah. So your environment really influenced you when you were in more like open spaces, more like rural areas compared to where you are now, do you think?
I just think hearing birds and sky and then being able to create balance. I think the struggle for most of people that I talk to, include and number one me, is finding that balance that you have the natural world and the ability to like say no sometimes and hold off and bring a deeper space into your life. That's the
Yeah.
challenge because anyway, enough said.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting topic though, and I know that environment definitely affects people in a lot of different ways, especially nowadays with tech being everywhere. It definitely can affect music as well. But so you have been obsessing over this bass since you were 17 years old. If it wasn't the bass, what other instrument do you think that you could obsess over?
Well, I don't, yeah, I was just obsessing about culture too. It was
Hmm.
the idea that the music was connected with, look, this leaf just dropped. That's cool. Like what?
Nature.
um, it just felt like there was culture, to see the records and see a whole different urban culture of Black culture that, and out in the country, I didn't even know what was, but I had a bit of that when I was 12 because my parents lived overseas, and I was my dad took a sabbatical, and I lived in Germany for a year. So I would be
Oh.
in German school, and then I'd go out to
Hmm.
army base, and the army base was fascinating because that was my first introduction to all the different people that were in America. That was really cool. And then I go to a German school and speak German.
Yeah.
I, I love this, the all the interest that it brought, and the just the amazing variety, because I still like that. I mean, I can't believe, of course we talk about the problems with city stuff, but I sure
Hmm.
like the idea of hearing, hey, a new Thai restaurant opened up, or
Yeah.
here's this place, I go to an Ethiopian, like, what is it? It's just fascinating to me.
Hmm.
I love that. And I think that is the greatest thing about the music, is it was able to introduce me to people that were making it, great people when I came to Chicago, like Jody Christian, and Wilbur Campbell and Von Freeman. Absolute, at that time you're just thinking, hey, these are really cool people. Now they're referred to, they're kind of iconic in that way, but
Hmm.
they were just very nice people.
Yeah. And you named a few musicians that could have inspired you, but were there any other musicians that you can mention that inspired you in your work?
Yeah, sure. I
Hmm.
mean, I was very fortunate timing wise to be in, just get here when Bobby Broom was getting here. And then
Hmm.
Bobby Broom came from New York, and he was playing all over the world with Sonny Rollins, and he was about to join Miles Davis, or maybe he was that time. But it was Ron Blake was here, Northwestern. Eric Alexander was around Chicago. Ron Prillo came, George Flutis. So there really was some high level musicians around. So I didn't have to do much but just hop on a bandstand, and just to get my pretty much, I mean, I got my butt blown to smithereens by their musical acumen and level, for sure.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh yeah, very cool. So speaking of other musicians, do you have like a nice list of favorite musicians that you've collaborated with or ones that you enjoy working with, would love to work with again?
Um, Everyone that I just feel like it's kind of chemistry wise, it's all a little bit of a mystery. You never know, like when you meet somebody, how it'll work. It's just, and
Hmm.
then all of a sudden it does. You go, wait a minute, this is really easy. Then, other times that no matter how many car rides you take down to St. Louis, it's not going to get easier. I don't know why I'm
Yeah.
picking St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
you share, and then I have it now with yeah, Bobby, of course, still, Reggie Thomas, and George Fluis, the trio Nexus. And matter of fact, we're playing this tonight through the week, down with Gary Bartz at the showcase, and that. So to still have that, uh, and be open to the mystery. Oh, that's the cool thing about it too, is that all of a sudden you can meet somebody that's not even near your age or near your background, or they don't,
Hmm.
but then all of a sudden you're like, man, we're really cool. How did that happen? And I love that. I love that profound mystery.
Yeah, it's always fun collaborating with people that you enjoy. So about your performance on Saturday, what kind of inspirations are going to be involved in that? Tell me about that and who you'll be playing with.
Well, it's with a group that just formed on the steps in Roscoe Village, literally on the steps of Lee Rothenberg's his place over there. And it was during the pandemic, and people
Hmm.
wanted the neighbors loved it. Matter of fact, we got a beautiful note from a neighbor that said it saved them during the pandemic because of depression set in on her and her family, and they look so much forward to being able to go step outside and hear it. Imagine if the world shut down technologically and you didn't have you had to wait for music to, then you go, wow,
Yeah.
do you look forward to it that much more. It's kind of an
Oh.
interesting thought because now we're just inundated. Now we have to do that. We got to go to a restaurant, turn our ears off because that.
Mhm.
Can you turn it down? You know that.
Oh, well, thank you so much for meeting with me today. We're very happy to have you at the J. Pritzker Pavilion on Saturday, August 31st. That's at 4:15, and we're excited to see you there. Thank you
Well,
again.
thank you for having, and a shout out to my motorcycle, to Honda Goldwing. And once you get on that, all the music comes with it.